Tyler, I forgot to do it before. Um, all right.
Holly is here, our savior of technology.
Hi, Holly. Thank you for last night. I hope you enjoyed it. We
That was
enjoyed it.
great. That was so much fun.
That was so much fun. And Ranjan is back in Florida. That's amazing. All right, so let's just introduce ourselves because now we have people that are used to Tyler and people that are used to me. So let's do just a short introduction to start with, and then we'll go from there. Welcome to the Leo full moon, and welcome to us, and welcome to this soul conversation. Jenny's here too. Yes, yes, yes. And so I'll just go because I'm a Leo.
Lions first.
Yes. And I'm Kristina. And for those of you who don't know me, I would say that I am here because of my mission to help you unpack your heart. Anyone who's here with me, some of you already know this, because for me, that's the most beautiful thing to see in someone else, because the more I can be a mirror of self-love for myself, the more I can be it for you. And for those of you who know me, I often say that I will hold that mirror to you until you see the love that I see in you. So if you come to me, I'm going to see your heart because I love that. And I'm going to go to the core because I love that. We're going deep. So welcome to me. Welcome to my energy. Welcome to this group. There's something else let me see here. I'm here also today because it's important. We're going to go into that today. But to me, it's important that as many as I can inspire to be in your own light and shine in your own light, bright, without apologies. That's where I think this whole earth is going. And it's my hope that we can all do this together for whoever wants to. It's not my decision, but if I can inspire anyone to do it, I will. And that warms my heart to the core. So that's me.
So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Tyler Miller. I am based out of Oneonta, New York right now. I saw some people in the chat. I was in California for 28 years. So I lived in California for 28 years. Uh, I, I'll give you a little bit about my background because I feel like more people know you, Kristina, than know me. I worked in higher education for 25 years. So I worked for colleges and universities in California. Came to New York, and COVID hit, and you know I kind of left and kind of now work for a nonprofit. Um, while all this is happening, my spiritual journey has taken me in many different directions. And I was actually before talking with Kristina about a podcast I had done like in the middle of COVID and how different I was then to even where I am today. It's been like a 3 year journey for me. I am Jewish by birth, had a bar mitzvah, um, grew up Jewish until I became atheist, came back, had a supernatural experience with the universe, and have slowly unfolded for me a spiritual connection and giftings that people want to put me in a box. I like to say I'm a Jewish mystic, and so for me, I love the idea of transformation. I am a Reiki practitioner, so I do certified Reiki. I do dream interpretation. I write about the Torah every day for the last 4 years. Every morning, I will post Torah thoughts on my website, Tikkun Olam 47. And I think what brings me here today is the universe. Like, there's just you can't ignore what the universe is doing, and we can call that God, Hashem, whatever name we want to use. Um, and so really, I would say we're here because of gene. That's really, I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
We're
I
here for
love
growth.
learning what.
Yes, we're
Oh,
definitely here because of Gene Keys.
Gene Keys is what brought us together. Gene Keys, like for me, awakened a lot of things within me that helped me kind of find home. And that was a beautiful thing. And so, yeah, and I think what's exciting about today is it's a new moon. I mean, it's a full, why don't you say new? It's a new time because it's the new year for trees. So as a Jew, as being Jewish, today is also Tu B'Shvat, so it's the 15th of Shabbat, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But I think Christine and I just started talking, and it was like things just unfolded, and it was like we were joking. It's like you got your gene keys in my Kabbalah, and I got my Kabbalah into your gene keys. And if we could do a commercial, that would be kind of the crux of the commercial. So that's me.
Yes, I love that. And hi everyone jumping on. Brooke, Glenda. Yay, Anne is here. Kathy, yep. So let's, I want to start with just a little bit about astrology, the full moon. We're going to do astrology. I'm going to do Gene Keys. Tyler's going to add his magic to it. And then we have some yumminess for you as well. We're going to talk a little bit more about us and what we're doing and masculine and feminine. And we love a conversation. So we are going to go into the chat and, love to hear your thoughts, your comments. And we're going to open up, I think, well, we're open to a conversation the whole time, but also like afterward, we will stay here. We will be here for a while. Okay. So I love it. Brooke, hello. Yes.
So are
So
you going to start
this,
talking Cassinis and conjunctions and transits right now? Because I'm super excited for that.
yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yay. Okay. So this Leo full moon is 5 degrees, 14 minutes, but 5 degrees. It is, first I want to talk about Leo because Leo is all about shining bright, and Leo is heart ruled. It rules the 5th house. So that means everything that brings you play, that brings you pleasure. It's romantic, it's children, it's your inner child, it's sports. So it's a very playful and creative place that it rules. And so if we look at Leo, Leo is also a leader. Leo is the lion. Leo don't have a problem with being center stage. And so that center stage can obviously look different if we want to go into shadow spaces and higher spaces in Leo. But what I feel is the most important to shine a spotlight on today for everyone that's here listening or for anyone watching the replay is about to have the courage to follow your heart, to have the courage to be a leader in your life. Because that's the way that universe talks to us. It's all in here. Leo is big. For you who know me, that what I just said, we're loving big here. And that starts with loving you and be the leader of your heart. And so today's full moon, it's interesting because we have some other placements happening too, obviously. It's always, a full moon is always opposing where the sun is. So we have the sun in Aquarius, and I'll go into that a little bit more when I'm going to talk about Gene Keys later. The Aquarius is freedom loving. And of course, we had Pluto moving into Aquarius this weekend, which is huge. This is really, really big. It's going to be in Aquarius for over a decade. And it hasn't been in Aquarius except for that little dip this spring for 250 years. So Aquarius is all about freedom loving, no boxes, blowing it all to smithereens. So how can we combine these two of being that leader, but then also, and being that for us, but then also doing things differently? It's really important that you have the courage here, if you want to live your best life, to be unique, to do this your way. F everything else. And today we have this beautiful, it's called a quincunx to Saturn, which is direct.
Wait, what was that word?
Tyler's just going to go off the rails. Quincunx. So that's four, that's 5 houses, not a square, which is 4, not a triangle, which is 3, not an opposition, which is 6. It's 5. And so let me break this down.
I just get chills hearing you even say that word. Woo.
No, this is so fun. So quincunx to Saturn. What this is about, quincunx is a lesson. We'll call it a lesson. And so, thank you, Holly. And Saturn is in Pisces, and Saturn is about mastery, and it's about boundaries. It's about limitations. So we are getting this lesson with this full moon. Where do we need to set our boundaries to be the leader of our life? And how can we, it's also Saturn in Pisces in general. It's a very spiritual, like how can we set the practice to have the boundaries to move for our spiritual journey? And those boundaries, yes, it's with other people, but it's also with yourself. So I want to encourage you all, including myself, to call you out on yourself, to call me out on myself, to see where do I sleep my own boundaries. Where am I not fully authentic with myself for my best and for my highest growth? Because it's really comfortable to be in places that we're comfortable, but usually when we tune into our heart, we know that that comfort is not where we grow the most. We always grow
So
out of our.
can I jump in here with like a
Yes,
question or
please
like
do.
thought? So comfort zones. So, you and I have been talking, we're working on this class about communication and how we sometimes communicate in a way that's comfortable for the other person and that like we navigate someone else's feelings for them. Is that kind of what you're talking about here? Like this idea of stepping out of that and saying, these are my boundaries, this is what I need. You're a grown person, you can handle your own feelings. You don't need me to handle your feelings for you. Is that what we're talking about?
That's a perfect example of that.
Okay.
Mm.
Can anybody relate to that? Because I know I can, and how I tend to navigate other people's feelings and communicate in a way that tries not to upset, because I'm a people pleaser in a lot of ways.
Right. Yes, that's what I've been working through this morning, as you know. And what I want to add that in there, it's so because this to me is one of the most important pieces as we grow, as we do our inner journey. It's about leaving responsibility to leaving other people's responsibility to them,
Mm,
especially the ones we love the most.
mm. Yeah, because I work with a lot of my clients around sovereignty. We talk a lot about sovereignty. Leo as a king, right? We're talking about royalty, queendom. There's the idea that I have sovereignty over my feelings. So you can't make me happy. I can be happy and choose to be happy, or I can choose how to navigate whatever feelings I'm feeling. And if I'm feeling fear or joy or anxiety, those are the feelings that are rising up within me. You may trigger that in me, but those are my feelings and I'm sovereign over that. And if I trigger feelings in you, instead of being upset at myself and like feeling guilty about, causing you to be upset, I can tell myself, I'm a Leo. This is a Leo full moon. I am royalty. So are you. I'm going to treat you and trust that you are a queen and you can handle your own feelings and you don't need me to handle your feelings for you, because if I try and handle your feelings, I'm treating you as a peasant, which is not who we are and designed to be. That's what I'm hearing as we're talking.
I love that. Yes. How about we all treat each other like royalty by
Mm.
allowing every one of us to navigate our own feelings? Yes.
And let me
Um,
be clear, because I can see the shadow of that being,
yep.
well, if you're upset, that's your responsibility, not mine, right?
Yep.
That I don't think is what we're talking about either. I think it's, I understand what I said impacts you. I care that your feelings are hurt. I care that I said something. how can I support you and navigate, and you navigate your feelings. And I think that's a different
Yeah,
idea.
that's
All
a
right, we could,
whole conversation. Okay, yeah, we can, and
yeah.
we'll go into that in Gene Keys too, because that will add into that. Um, let's see here. Was there anything else? I
Can
think
you
the
say
last
that
thing I
word
want,
one more time? Was it quins? What was that word again?
quincunx.
Quincunx.
Yes. So think
That might
five.
be my quincunx. Cunx.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll learn something new.
Sally loves to learn about all the astrology. I don't know. Sometimes I don't think you're taking it in. Sometimes I think you just like sit and just like enjoy the pleasure of it without even trying to take it in because you're just loving it so much.
Hey, look, I can conjunct your Cassini as much as the next person. And so for me, there is a element of play because I like to play, and I do learn. I have learned about the conjuncts and the transits and things like that. So it's both and. It's not either or with
I love that. Of course, it's both and.
me.
um,
Elena saying don't say quincunx 5 times, but me, like I'm the rebel. I'm like quincunx, 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 quincunx. Bring it on, Beetlejuice. Bring it on.
yes, exactly. And on that, the rebel in Aquarius and your North Node in Aquarius. The last thing I want to say here before we leave the astrology is that something that I've been navigating the last few weeks is this: when we feel resistance to something, whatever that is, this is where you're called to, and I've been called to, and I'm going to encourage all of you to go through that fear. Resistance is fear. If something is right in front of you and you know it in your heart and you're like, well, this is not, I don't have time. When your mind makes excuses, this is not right. This is not how I wanted it to be. This is not how I thought it to be. I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. Any form of resistance, we're in Aquarius season and Pluto's in Aquarius. When you go through that fear, because you think that if you say yes to that resistance, oftentimes when the fear is loud, the fear says that, well, if we go right into that resistance, it's going to create more fear. But let me tell you, when you go into that resistance, it's going to create freedom. You're liberating yourself by going
Mm.
into, be honest with yourself. What am I resisting right now that's right in front of me? The universe is always putting things right in front of us that is meant to be right there. And what I've experienced, and so much with Tyler, is that when I go through that resistance, I liberate myself. And that is
Mm.
all Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius. This is liberation. So, but you have to take the leap. Take that Leo heart, that courage to take the leap where you think that it's the hardest to go, where your mind wants you to think that you shouldn't go there. And
So
that's,
can I add something to that? Because
of course.
so Leo's a lion, which is kind of like a cat. So for me in the work I do a lot of times, as I study the Torah, is that freedom and liberation begins with curiosity and not judgment. And so cats, like, curiosity did not kill the cat. Curiosity is part of the creative process, especially within being curious. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I getting agitated? Why am I feeling this anxious? Being curious can give us that freedom and liberation versus putting it in a box or judging it or I don't want to do that. Like, okay, why don't I want to do that? What is it about that? Because I think we don't ever go that deep. So
Yes.
yeah.
So I'll leave it over to you to
So
continue.
and it's interesting because as for me in my background as being Jewish, and for those of you who don't know, the Jewish calendar is based on the moon, not the sun. And so every moon cycle is a new month. And what's interesting this year in our calendar is we actually get a leap month. So there's an extra month in the calendar for this year, and that's so because the holy days in the Torah are designed to be at certain times of the year, and so this is Tu B'Shvat, and so this is the month of Shabbat. We came out of the month, so Christmas, Hanukkah was in the month of Kislev. So that's the month of light. And the holiday of Hanukkah always straddles the new moon between Kislev and Tevet. Tevet was the moon cycle that we just came out of. And that moon cycle was designed to bring chaos and repair. So if you last moon cycle were having a lot of chaos in your life, all of that was designed to repair and create opportunities for this current moon cycle. Because in this month of Shabbat, it's all about order. There's order to this month. And the last 2 weeks have designed to be harsh, to where we were longing, like, wow, that chaos, I kind of missed that chaos a little bit. But the 2 weeks here is all about uprooting and taking out old trees that are no longer serving us in our lives, and taking out things that are holding us back and keeping us stuck. And so if it's been a hard 2 weeks, you're not alone. And so the other part is with those trees being taken out, that soil has to be kind of dug over in our lives and getting ready. And the whole point of from sundown last night to sundown tonight is to plant new trees in our life, because this is the holiday it's the new year of trees. And so this is really, we're kind of at the midway point of the cycle for Judaism. We have 4 New Years. So there's a spiritual New Year, there's a calendar New Year, there's a New Year for trees, and I forget, there's one more New Year. But we have 4 different New Years because we have 4 cycles. And so for us today is all about planting new trees. And then the next 2 weeks coming up is going to be blessing. It's going to be the blessing of all of the work that we've been doing. Kristina and I were talking about, it's almost like a slingshot, right? Imagine for the last 2 weeks, we've been pulling back, and it's like, we're getting tired of being pulled back. Like, I'm done. I just want to go. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Today, we get launched. And so wherever we were aimed, that's where we're going. And so just really kind of buckle up and enjoy the ride and kind of see and be open to, and again, going back to what Kristina said, receiving what the universe is giving you, even if you tend to resist it. And guess what? It's okay. Even if you resist it, it's going to come around again, because there is no end. There's no beginning. It just keeps cycling and will keep coming back. And that's the beauty of this, is that there's no getting it right or getting it wrong. We can just be and just enjoy and receive, even when things are hard, even when things are hard. So that's kind of, in the Jewish calendar and Kabbalah, that's what we're going into. And then at the end of this cycle, we will set intents for a double month of Adar, and that's the month of Purim. So if you're familiar with the Bible, it's the story of Esther and Mordecai and Haman and the Grogger. If you're familiar with Judaism, it's the rescuing of the Jews from certain destruction. And what's beautiful about that is the only book of the Bible, the only story that does not mention God's name even once. And it's the work that we are called to do as the creation, to live out what the universe is going to do. So to me, that's what's beautiful, is we've got this Leo moon, we've got Tu B'Shvat, I'm sure we've got gene keys are coming into alignment. So I think this would be a good, any questions from you, Kristina, or anything this triggers for you before we get into gene keys?
No, I was just reading what Courtney said here. January, February ruled by Saturn with Capricorn and Aquarius makes so much sense. And Aquarius is all about remaking our structures with the new and radical. And I like this year, I'm going to spin out. Thank you, Courtney, because I'd love to spin out on that, because it's exactly what Tyler's saying too. Like this year, coming from not just Capricorn season, but Pluto in Capricorn for the last 15 years. And for you who joined me in the new moon 2 weeks ago, that's what we talked about. Like, it's about the legacy that we have been building the last month, the last 15 years. And just like Tyler says, and then we get Aquarius, that is just like, Pluto is it's death and rebirth. And it's our personal power, or where we give away our power. So it's this also, in that sense, we get like double, quadruple. I feel with Pluto, everything is like, whatever, not quincunx, but 20 times more. It's powerful. No BS survives a Pluto transit. So we're getting this, like, I don't know, such a huge, I mean, I don't know how many times, such a huge launching pad, bigger than what we've experienced before, right in the season, happening right at the same time. And last weekend being the Cassimi too in Pluto, both in in Capricorn, exact, and then within 12 hours moving together into Aquarius. So it's exactly this time of year, but this time that we get to live in is just mind-blowing. I don't know if that Cassimi is ever going to come back like that again, like double in those two signs like that. It's historical. So I'm hearing you when you say that, like it's I feel exactly the same from a planetary perspective, and then I think he's too.
And let me also say this, because I think you and I have talked about this in the past, this idea of these structures being removed. There are certain structures that will remain, because structure in and of itself isn't necessarily a problem. The problem is when we design structures for survival, they become imprisonment for us. You know, the story of the ark in the Torah, Noah built an ark to survive the flood. But when the flood was over, he didn't want to come out because it was safe. He felt safe in the ark. And God had to say, get out here. Like, come on out. Like, you don't have to be, but you could imagine the trauma, right? Of seeing everything wiped out and being safe on this ark. And all of a sudden, the flood is over. And now, do I really want to get out there? Do I really want to take a step out there? Because it's very safe and comfortable in here. So we don't have to tear down all the structures that we've built. We can adapt them. Maybe the tree doesn't need to be uprooted. Maybe we just need some pruning. Maybe we just need some branches cut off. So it's really important not to get locked in to an all or nothing mindset. It's really feeling that freedom to say within ourselves, this is working for me. I want to keep this. This is keeping me stuck. Let's let it go and let's just move forward.
Yes, I love that. Stability.
Stability.
This tastes like stability. Exactly. I love that. Stability to be even freer, to have a launch pad. Yeah, and just like
And that's the
Vijana
other thing
said,
is
yeah, no,
I think that's the other thing is like so often we put things down as landing points when really they're launch pads. And we're in this time where we're not putting down endpoints because we don't know where the rocket's going to go. And if we put down an endpoint or like a goal in a sense, are we limiting that? Like, you know, if our goal is to bring in 20 new clients, right? Is that limit us because the universe is like, I got 50 waiting for you. But okay, if you want 20, let me give you 20. Like really getting into the heart of what are we going to build that's going to be stable and solid and foundational that we can launch our rockets from. Because I think we don't often think in that realm because we're so focused on this survival mentality, this lack where I've got to grab onto something. I need 20 clients to make it to the end of the month. Like, or, you know what? I know what the universe knows what I need. The universe always has our back. I'm going to put down some stability and some ideas that we can build off of and go from there.
yes. And that requires faith, just like what Regina said here too. It's so much of trusting, taking that step into the unknown and trusting that the foundations that you do need is there. If we're talking about survival that way too, it's like and that has been my journey for the last almost 2 years, and it just like the universe is saying like, hey, trust me, I got you back. And the more I can do that, the more free I am to create, as you said, from a different space than survival. So it's not just I hear you what you're saying too in terms of foundations, but it's also so much about faith there. So because that's the leap of like, okay, well, if you go through this, then you're going to see that you actually have maybe more than you thought. You have a stability that you thought, and it's a liberation that happens instead. That's what I heard with that or felt with that. Okay. Should we go into Gene Keys?
Yeah, I feel like we've got to catch our breath. Like I feel like we just like put a lot of energy. Maybe like, does anybody need to digest for a second? Does anybody have any questions, comments on this before we transition into Gene Keys?
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, I feel like that was pretty like woo, and now it's like maybe we just need to take a breath to digest what we heard. So
Yeah.
anything from people like questions, comments, thoughts, this might be a good time. And we will pause because there's a time delay. Hmm.
Mm.
All right. Oh, so what types of structures are we thinking about? Hmm.
Can I say something?
Of course. You don't need my permission.
I
You
know.
are
I don't know.
free, girl. You are free.
Of course. So, Courtney, this we talked about this. Tyler and I talked about this yesterday, and I think I posted something. I don't know what days are anymore. So, what I would ask you back was type of structure you're thinking about. The first thing I want to ask and just offer to everyone is that what if you get to paint your canvas exactly the way you want it to? You have the power to decide today that you can let go of all the limitations, expectations, disappointments, whatever has been your story that has kept you limited, that keeps you in fear of thinking this is not possible. And instead, envision you and your life as this blank canvas, and you're standing here in front of this blank canvas with all these amazing colors. Like I see Sierra with just like finger paint and like all this just abundance of colors, and you get to color that messy if you want to. You get to do it. You get to do it colorful. You get to do it with small little drawings and details if you want to. So what do you want those structures to be? What do you want the structures to be that you are standing on and that you can choose to stand on from this moment on? You don't have to bring any of the old expectations or fears or limitations or anything of your past with you unless you want to. Bring the good stuff. You get to discern. But what I see most people, including myself, this is so much of our journey, is that we do have the expectations that the future is going to be like our past. And that's often why we stop ourselves before we take that leap. So imagine today, right here, right now, you get to decide, what is that canvas for you? What structures do you want to stand on? Is it that full potential? Anything is possible. If you, whatever it is that you want, will you allow yourself to have that? Will you allow yourself to let go? Will you allow yourself to be whoever you are?
That's beautiful. And I want to digest it for a second and then I want to respond if that's okay.
Yeah.
So the thing I keep hearing and coming back to is being curious about the function of the structures in our life. Why do those structures currently exist? And are they life rafts that we hold on to that keep us surviving, but block us from getting into a boat and running forward? So I'll give a practical example from my life is every morning I wake up and I have a routine. And that routine through the darkest times of my life kept me going. I will never forget that there was a morning I woke up that I just wanted to stay in bed all day and not do a thing. It was rough. But I said, I have a choice. Either I get up and do the things that I've been doing for the last year and do those, or I stay in bed all day. Okay. I made the choice to get up and do those things. That structure existed and was beautiful, right? However, let's say I wake up tomorrow and I am so locked into that structure, that my daughter who's staying with me right now, like she needs to get out on time, get out early. My value is being a father. And so for me, being a dad am I willing to be flexible with that structure a little bit so that I can be a dad in my fullness? Or do I sacrifice my relationship as a father for this structure that I feel safe in? And so for me, it's those choices. And just because today I'm fluid with that structure doesn't mean tomorrow I can't go back to that structure. But we get stuck in, if I don't do it today, I'm going to lose the habit and my ship is going to sink. So I think that's where structures can be positive, but when we find safety in the structure and not in ourselves and in our hearts, that's where it becomes, I think, a problem that keeps us stuck and not experiencing, I think, the freedom you're talking about. Does that resonate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely. I love it because it's stability and freedom all in one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, grounding too. Let me catch up on some comments. That's life right now. Just want to push pause and breathe for a moment. Then you get to choose that if you want to. I love that. Most of us do.
So let's honor that a little bit. Let's just kind of, again, take
Yes.
another couple breaths here. Just soak in the new moon, soak in the process that's been going on around us.
And adding to that, just for anyone just taking a breath right now, also feel your roots into the earth,
Grounded,
grounding.
because we're multidimensional. So we can remain grounded and get launched into outer space all at the same time.
And what I feel so much in that too, right as I said that, when we all ground, when I ground, I feel connected, not just to myself, but to the cycle of nature, to other people. We connect to our soul family that way as well, because we connect to ourselves. Stability and freedom. Love this. Yeah. Breathe there. And I want to take that bridge slowly into Gene Keys. And because we'll talk about the full moon Gene Keys a little bit first before we go into our Gene Keys. So this full moon is represented our 31st Gene Key. And that goes from arrogance to leadership through to humility. But the bridge here that I felt right there is that leadership and this Gene Key is so much about following the rhythms of nature. Because as that leader in your life or for other people, inspiration, when you tune into your own rhythm, that's when you get to honor yourself, your own rhythm during a 24 hours with your emotions, with the planets, during a moon cycle, during a year, during several years, whatever that rhythm is for you. When you tune into you, when you ground in, that's when you get to honor yourself and accepting where you are at the moment. That's so much where, stress comes in. That's the Dinky 52, but that's so much of when we want to be somewhere where we're not, or when we don't think we might get to where we want to be in a certain time, that's stress. When we can ground into fully being here now and accepting what we talked about before, resistance, what is right in front of us, and accepting this is what I am today. This is what I'm feeling today. This is what's happening around me. This is what I'm called to be with. That is, to me, that leader that is humble. And because for your own life, because you're humble towards yourself, you're honoring yourself, and that's the self-love journey, and And then in that, we can inspire others to do it too. And then honor the collective and accept the collective as it is now, even when it's messy, even when we get frustrated or upset or whatever it is. That's also a part of this process that we're in. And so when we can slow down, we do become more of a sovereign leader for ourselves and others as well. And that's what this Gene Key is also about, as that leader.
So, Christina, I know a lot of your people are here and they understand gene keys a little bit more, but for some of my friends who they've not heard this before, um, can you kind of give like, I mean, I could because I know what I've been learning, but you're the expert. Could you give like a short, like, what are gene keys? Like, what is that about?
Hmm. Let me see how I can make that digestible. Um, Gene Keys is based on your birth time and place, and why it's such an amazing tool for me. When you look up your chart, you will see 11 different spheres. Now, we all have 64 gene keys. It's based on DNA. It's based on he comes from human design and from I Ching as well. And so if I try to make it digestible again, it's portals. For me, it is portals to understand yourself deeper. And each gene key, each number out of those 64, whatever you're contemplating or whatever we're collectively contemplating as with this full moon number 31, each gene key has an energy to it, and it shows where the shadow space is. In this 31st gene key, it's arrogance. It's about being arrogant. About ourselves, about others, where we're in life. It's being arrogant, thinking that we're not connected to the earth, for example, or it can come out as being afraid of other people seeing you as arrogant. So it's both sides there. And so each
And
jinky has a shadow side. Yeah.
is that a bad thing? Like, so for me, when I hear shadows and I hear arrogant, there is this internal sense of judgment about arrogance. So are we talking about like something bad? What is that arrogance piece?
The way I see shadow work, it's not bad. It's a learning point.
Mm.
It's the gift, really. I mean, we have to see the shadow in order to be able to transform it. So we can't just like, oh, this is bad. No, that's the launching point. And we'll get into the 54 about greed of like, okay, no, that fuels the fire. Arrogance might fuel you to see that, okay, this is where what I have and accept within me. And I want to be aware so that I can act from a different standpoint, because that's more whole to do. And that's why Gene Keys, I'm going to just say one more thing and then I'll ask you. But that's how Gene Keys is so good, because we're looking at the shadow space, but then we get what is the transformational path from alchemizing anything in the shadow space that is not whole. Shadow space, and we're talking shadow work, that to me is about talking about things that wants to be healed within us, that wants to come into completion. It's something none of us are broken. It's not about that. It's just that sometimes we think the conditioning makes us think that we're broken, and that's actually often the problem that we want to heal, that we're not broken. So it's all about coming into that, oh, we're seeing this separated, the shadow space is separation. And then the gift is the transformational path of leadership into then the city of humility. So that's how Gene Keys work. So they give you actually the tools. Okay, pinpoint, where do you find yourself in that gift space? Where do you flow easy in the shadow space? Where do you flow easy in the gift? And then the city is kind of a little bit more utopia to me. It's something that is like, as you call it the price. This is like, whoa, amazingness. But we often are meant to be, as human beings in 3D, meant to be in the gift space, because that's when we can interact in a whole different way than we can in the city space. And
So
now
I
you
think
go.
the image, yeah, and I think two things. Somebody asked, are we saying gene keys? I know for fans of Scooby Doo, I heard, and I still sometimes hear, Jinkies,
Yes.
like Jinkies, Scoobs, like not no offense, but I think it does. But it's Gene. It's literally, I think Lee, you had it spelled exactly correct. Gene
Yes,
keys.
Lee.
So as we're talking about like arrogance as just an example, because I started using this even with my kids. Oh, you hear dinkies, interesting, like or binkies, like yeah. So the idea of the shadow, and again, bringing it back to Tu B'Shvat, the shadow's the soil. The shadow is what the tree grows in. And so we don't have to be afraid of being arrogant. We have to receive those moments where we recognize our arrogance as moments where we have choice and freedom and liberation to acknowledge that arrogance and say, oh wow, Kristina, I see where I'm being arrogant in our friendship and our relationship. Like I see that arrogance. Thank you for pointing it out. And we have that opportunity to lead and role model to say arrogance is not something to be avoided, because if we think we can avoid arrogance, we're being arrogant, right? Like it folds in on itself. So I really liken this to the soil. And so when we're talking about Tu B'Shvat, we may have an idea of what leadership looks like. And maybe that leadership is grounded in arrogance and we don't even see it. So the idea of this tree being ripped out so that we can get into that soil. Where am I being arrogant? Where am I thinking I know more than I do about myself? Maybe that's even, I think I know myself better than you. Because I hear this from clients like, you don't know me. I know me better than you know me. And I'm like, there's truth to that. And we have blind spots. We have spots that we may not be aware of, that because you have a different lens than I do, you see something different. So just because you don't know me as well as I do doesn't dismiss, but even that can be arrogant to say, you don't know me. And so that to me is this idea of shadow work, is just recognizing and loving the arrogance within us, to not judge it, but just be like, what, where's this coming from? So I think to me, that's what I love about these gene keys, because without arrogance, how would any of us understand humility, which is the prize? How would we even conceptualize the idea of humility? Um, and so to me, that's where these all, as we talk about these different gene keys, for those who may not have the understanding of, okay, arrogance, leadership, humility, the idea is we are supposed to live in our leadership, lead from a place of love, lead from a place of heart and soul and just trust, and then receive. Okay, I'm being arrogant here. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I don't have to be afraid of that. I don't have to judge that. That makes sense. Am I onto something here?
I love it.
Cool. I had a good teacher.
Thank you. I wanted
Surprise,
to
Kristina was my teacher.
um I wanted to, let's see here, get to some of this. That makes so much sense. The author of the Gene Keys talks about the gift is in the shadow. Yeah, like the oak tree is in the acorn. Exactly. And I know blind spots. And then I don't know if this is, but I want to bring this up, Elena, because you said like a child refusing to go to school, and I'm not sure if this is going to resonate, but I had this moment with Sierra this morning, my daughter, for you who don't know me, and we're both Leos. This full moon lands exactly both on our sun, and she has her Mars right there too. So she woke up this morning. I had been meditating. I was going through my own journey, and then I was a little bit delayed. Hello, Sagittarius rising, always in the morning. And so, and she woke up and said, Mom, is today school? I'm like, yeah, today's school day. It's like, I don't want to go. Like, okay, we're already 15 minutes late getting out of bed. And here we go. And so we're just like sitting down talking about it. Why didn't you want to go? And all of this. And she's, emotional about it. And she doesn't want to be outside in the cold and all these things. And I had just been navigating, how am I honoring myself, as much as not feeling guilty for not feeling guilty for honoring myself and my niece, which was today doing this and joining all of you, something that I absolutely love. How do I say to her, just like, well, I have to work, so you have to go to school, without she's feeling abandonment? And she's my daughter, so I have more responsibility to help her navigate her own feelings compared to another adult, right? So how I was feeling that or how I was trying to navigate that was that I honored her. I said, I understand that you don't want to go, and I want to hear you. And I want also for you to know that with you going, it's actually me taking care of you as well. I take care of me because I get to do my work, and I get to take care of other people. She knows that I'm doing that in sessions. And I get to take care of me and Sierra by doing my work, which we connect to also having an income. And that income helps me and Sierra. And I take care of her at the same time by making sure that she is with teachers that I trust that they will take care of her when I'm not there. So I don't know if that's helpful, Elena. Let me know. And I'm not sure if that's what you were even asking. Let me know that too. But it was just something that I felt that this navigated for me. That way I felt whole. I can honor myself, and I honored her to not just feel like she was rejected because I was working, and that work would be more important than her. So I tried to kind of explain it, and I know she's young, so she, however that landed for her, but eventually we got up and I carried her to eat, and then she was fine. And we had a very harmonious trip up there and whatnot, even if we were a little bit stressed out the door. And I've learned so much with her that if I'm stressed and trying to hurry her up, she's going to put her foot down and we're not going to go anywhere. So it's better for me to take a deep breath. Obviously, all parents know this. Take a deep breath and not go into my own stress and listen to her, because I get her moving faster if I listen and honor her. So let me see, exactly the same morning. Yes, you did the same thing. Yep. Beautiful.
They do move backwards, don't they?
Yep. If we don't honor them, I feel that big. I struggle with that and balancing my little one and more. Posting up, yes, yes. So it's like they're right in our face, and if we try to resist what they are, then it's just going to create more resistance in our life, and very likely to delay us even more.
Because then
So
they start taking their shoes and socks off, and it's like, why are you doing that? Why are you taking your shoes and socks off? We're trying to get out the door. Yes, they go backwards.
yep. So it's always a beautiful lesson for ourselves to not go into that stress ourselves. All right. I wanted to bring in one more jinky before we're gonna go on to some of the things. Yeah. And that is that in Gene Keys, there's something called programming partner. If you know astrology, this is always the opposite in astrology. So in a full moon, there's always even more so a programming partner involved. So we've been talking about the 31st being where the sun is, or where the moon is right now in Leo. And then if we go right across, we get Aquarius, and that's where the sun is right now. That's why full moons are more of a push and pull. They ask us to release, because we get in the middle of these polarities. When a new moon, then the sun and the moon is together, right? So I want to bring this programming partner up. It's number 41, and that ties in with so much of what you've been saying that this moon cycle is, because it's the 41st gene key is a start codon ring. So it is literally the starting of something new. It is literally planting new seeds. Now, the shadow in the 41, the shadow is actually a fantasy, because it gets to be a shadow when we get stuck in only living it as a fantasy and not putting our dreams into reality, to put the steps in, to take action, to go forward. And this is where the sun is right now in Aquarius. So this is exactly what you've been saying, and what we've been saying too, like using that courage of the heart to go and not just dream about what's going to happen in the future. Life is right here and right now. So what seeds are you planting for both the routine stability and your freedom? And it's all about taking action in planting that. This gene key is also about, it's a very psychic gene key. I resonate with it, with the Akashic records, for those of you who know that, where this place that we can go where there's no time and space reality. It's the records where all the timelines collapse. And so it's kind of this, and it's kind of, for you who do tarot, it's like the Three of Wands. You kind of like the picture of, okay, we're standing here with one of my decks has a surfboard. There's a woman standing with a surfboard on right at the edge of the water, ready to dive in, ready to catch the most amazing waves right there. And what this is calling us to do is that, yes, take inventory. We're right here. We come from this because we've had this pulling in our heart to dive in. The waves are beautiful. And we get to pause before we dive in, but we also get to make sure that we're not just ending up at the shore, looking at the beautiful waves, wishing we were in the waves. We get to dive in, and that takes courage.
I love that.
So that's how I feel with this other polarity gene key too. I love it.
I'm digesting that.
Yeah. Courage of the heart, which is Leo. All right. It's because we know the water is cold. Michelle lives in Laguna Beach.
but do we? But do we know that the water is cold? Or is that just what we've convinced ourselves from our past experiences? Do we really know? And I think that to me is really like, I know we're joking here, but there's a reality to this too, right? Like, I've been there and I'm like, I've been down this road before. I know how this story ends. So why even bother? Being in fantasy is a much, much more fun place to be. I love to dream. I love to think through, like, what are the possibilities? But to actually take action and plant a seed, I don't want to, because I've been here before and I don't want to go for it. And it's so the summertime I take my kids to the pool, right? And sometimes it's freezing. And do I dip my toe in and take forever to get in and go, or do I just jump right in? And your body adjusts, your body adapts to it. But it really becomes this give and take of, yeah, these are the structures, right? These are the structures that we convince ourselves it's too cold, it's not going to work.
Right. And that ties me back to what we were talking about before. What if it's not the same this time? Because that's the expectation that you take with you. Whatever you jump into, that's the fear talking. If the fear gets to steer your life, then you expect that the same thing is going to happen. But what if this time it's different? Will you allow it to be different? Will you allow it to be different? Will you allow your experience to be different? That's the vulnerability of the heart right there. We grow and we grow and we do our work, and it comes to a point where we have to take action to see that, okay, I've had all these experiences, they've been all the same, and we still have to go, and we still have to be vulnerable. We still have to take that leap. We still have to be open in our hearts, because one day when we've done our work, it's going to be different, but the fear is going to be there to tell us, well, it might not be different. It might not be different. You might hurt yourself. And that's where we get to choose. With this blank canvas, I allow it to be different this time.
And the other thing too, because like this morning in my Torah thoughts, today's portion of the Torah was all about, and right now we're studying the Exodus. So a lot of people are familiar with, they were slaves in Egypt, we were slaves in Egypt, and we left Egypt and we went through the Dead Sea, and it was split and walked through, like all that. There came a point where they were 3 days without food and water in the desert. And they longed to go back to slavery because it was so much more comfortable. And they had forgotten in 3 days just how miserable it was. And so they went and complained to Moses and said, you brought us out into the desert to die. Why did you? And they just, because they got so stuck in the way their brains were wired, that I would rather live as a slave than die free. And how, like, if given the choice, what do our souls long for? Like at the end of the day, when our souls go to bed, would we rather live imprisoned or would we rather take the risk and take the chance of dying free? And they didn't even die because at that point, it's not like the universe got angry and said, how dare you ungrateful people that you like, look at what I did. That's not what happened. What happened was like, okay, let me provide you the bread from heaven, basically, the manna. And so they were given exactly what they needed every day. And that they were provided for. But think of how much they were not comfortable because we've just built these structures of comfort that it's much more safe to not stick your foot in the water, not to jump into that cold water because it doesn't feel good. And we judge it versus, maybe I'm supposed to navigate the coldness. Maybe, maybe I need to go beyond the coldness to go beyond the shallows into the deep. And it's cold in the deep, but it's deep and beautiful and freeing, and we can swim wherever we want to swim, or we're stuck on land. So to me, I think these are the things that I'm resonating.
Yep. Yeah, Jenny just said the same. Maybe the water is cold and you decide to go in anyways because it is your new way forward, new mindset structures. Yes. I love that.
For that.
Yes. Hi, Jacqueline. Hi, Deanna. Okay. Can we switch a bit?
I'm feeling the shift.
Okay, we're feeling the shift. Okay, I need to get up on my chair. I need to I need to
Woo!
get going. So I want more fire from you.
From me?
Yeah, you.
More?
Yeah, definitely. So with that, you get two. I think there's a good bridge. You can talk whatever you want to, but talk about Jinkies, how we met, and then bridging into what we're doing together.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay, so how I met Kristina is one of those things like, so I have another friend. Her name is
Who just
Katie.
jumped on? You just
Did
jumped
Katie
on,
just jump
Katie.
on? Are you kidding?
Yes.
That is like beautiful timing. Wow, that's the universe. So my friend Katie and I were talking about spirituality and things unfolding. And I've read this book. I'm reading this book called Grow Yourself Up by Dr. Jenny Brown. It's beautiful. It talks about how our family systems impact the ability to grow up as adults. And one of the things the book talks about is this victim villain mentality, where we go through life and we learn as a child that the world is split into victims and villains. And I'm either a victim or I'm a villain, or sometimes I'm both, right? And so I was talking with Katie, and Katie's like, well, my life's work is Gene Keys. Can I share with you Gene Key 55? And it's my life's work. And at the time, I'm like, what do you mean this is your life's work? Like, I didn't understand what that meant. So she sent me Gene Key 55, and I just soaked it all up. And what I learned is what it unlocked for me, because it was all about victimization. I am called to learn to love the victim and villain within me. Because within me, in the shadows, exists this idea of being a victim or being a villain. And I really started to learn and dig into this idea of villainy and victimhood within me. And instead of judging that, I started embracing that. How could I love that villain? How could I love? And so, like, it must have been like a couple days later. Kristina jumps in trying to make a sale. Because you were trying to make a sale. She was trying to make a sale.
Definitely.
And she came in and she's like, "Hey, I saw you in this group. I do coaching around Gene Keys,
Wait,
and I'm
wait,
like,
wait,
oh,
wait, wait, wait,
oh,
I'm going to put one thing in there. So
yes, please do.
in that group, we're in a group, Awakened Souls Dating, whatever. It's a huge group of 80,000 people. And so I posted in there, who's into Gene Keys? Just putting it out there. And yes, to make a sale, but to have that conversation. And you replied with the 55th Gene Key. And then we started DMing. Just
Right.
wanted to add that.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I didn't reply in the group. You reached out to me saying like, "Hey, I've seen your posts," and you sent me a
Mhm.
direct message. Hmm.
Yeah, but you replied in the group first.
Oh, did I? Okay,
Yes.
I'll accept that.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so I was like, "Oh, I've already like learned Gene Keys. Like, tell me more." And from there, like you gave me, it was Gene Key 2, because it was talking about masculinity and femininity. And you're like, well, here's an audio about Gene Key 2. And so I go on a walk every day and I'm listening to Gene Key 2, and I'm just like, holy crap, this is exactly what I'm going through right now. I feel dislocated. I feel disoriented because I've been doing so much work on my masculinity. I've been doing so much work on, as a man, I have this spiritual coach that I started with a year and a half ago. And she said, well, why are you here? What is it you want me to teach you? And I looked her square in the eye and said, you're here to teach me how to be a man, because I have no flipping clue how to be a dude. I really don't. And if I'm just brutally honest, I don't know how to be a man. And she laughed because she's like, "You're not the first person to come to me." She's like, "I have very masculine, feminine energy." She's like, "Let's do some work together." So I've been working on my masculinity, which led me to realize that I had put my feminine to sleep so that I could engage with some of these shadows, and then started waking up in this masculinity, but it was disorienting. And so as I was listening to this Gene Key, it was like boom, it all came together. And really what it talked about, this idea of 1 + 1 = 3, that there's my masculine, there's my feminine, and those are each one, but when they work together, it's a three, and it's a different identity than either one of those by themselves. And I think sometimes we get locked into, I'm in my masculine, I'm in my feminine, and there's a value to that, but without recognizing the unity of those, we get lost. And so for me, that was huge in terms of reorienting myself to this new energy. Well, and then Christina gave me GP54, and I was like, yep, I've been greedy. I know I've been greedy, but that has a gift to it and a prize of ascension, to let go of greed, to aspire, right? Because that's the gift, is aspiration. Greed is like taking it into overdrive. And so for me, it was to aspire to something, but not latch. And that just kind of took off from there. We started having conversations about masculinity and femininity. And so to as we're going, we're like, we have a lot to talk about and engage in. And we would have conversations and we would be creating content for each of our pages without even realizing what we were doing. My Torah thoughts were like, am I jumping too far ahead here?
No, yes, I want to put into something there soon.
Yes,
Yeah, but before you, yeah.
go for
I
it.
also, because we love magic here, so I want to like bring in the magic here. What also happened was that the synchronicity is that the day we started talking, it was late night here. You had just woken up on the East Coast, and I was night owling as usual. And so that day previous, we had just had my Gene Key membership, we had the attraction sphere call. So we go through one sphere per month in my membership. And we had just had that call of the attraction sphere. So that is our attraction sphere is how we attract relationships, and what kind of relationships we attract based on where we are in that Gene Key. So we had that activated, and as someone said in the group, like she feels like every time we're getting close to a call, that Gene Key just gets activated. So I had just had an activation in my attraction sphere. It so happens that the pulse of the Gene Keys, which is where the sun is. So the pulse is 5 to 6 days of the year. There's one Gene Key highlighted, as I'm saying, it's 1111 here. The pulse right then, when we started talking, was Gene Key 54. And that's why I sent it to you, because I saw your chart and that is
Yeah.
your attraction sphere. So I just wanted to add in the magic
Yeah.
that happened there too, of that. And
See,
then,
this is where I love your expertise, because it's just like yes, and I'm like I forgot that part because I like was just like focused on my personal journey here, and I'm like, no, you're right. Like that's why you gave me 54.
yeah,
And so yeah, so it's just been a really interesting journey. And so for me, what I learned is my masculine power, I was shocked to discover, came from my divine feminine, because I was with Gene Key 2, I was before that I was really just trying to be in my masculine. And the vision I always have is feminine is an ocean, masculine is the boat, free to sail wherever it wants on that ocean. And I was just trying to be free and be a boat and kind of like just go and have an agenda, because that for me was all about agendas. And I had agendas. The flip when I reoriented was, wait a minute, with 54, I need to let go of my agenda. That's where my greed was. I had all of these agendas in my masculine that was really just shadow, because he was afraid to just let it go and release it. And I was afraid because my whole journey was, I want to be a man. I want to learn what it is to be a man. I want to learn how to do that, because I had no clue. And I made the shift. I'm like, maybe being a man is being comfortable and empowered and putting my feminine in the place of being the queen. And the masculine within me surrendering. Because in Kabbalah, we have these sephirot. And so there's these two sephirot that one is called victory and one is surrender. Victory is on the feminine side, surrender is on the masculine side. And so the idea, and I asked my spiritual coach, how do you have victory and surrender at the same time? They're opposing one another. You can't surrender and win. You can't win by surrendering. And she blew my mind, and her name's Amanda, and she's amazing. She's like, Tyler, this isn't an external battle. The way you win is by surrendering within you. And so my masculine within me said, feminine, you go. I got your back. And so I just started unlocking, and Katie was a part of this, and other where I just started, and Lee, I think, even got to experiences where I'm just like, no more agendas. I'm here. I'm an ocean. You can come and go as much as you want. I'm not going to grab onto you and make you stay. I'm not going to push you away to leave. I'm home. You're welcome in and out wherever you'd like. I'm here. How can I support you? And as a dude doing that, I think, some of the people in my sphere, like, their minds were blown because they've never experienced a guy just saying, how can I support you? I'm here. You're free. Like, and that's led me personally on this journey to unlock amazing things. I think so. For Kristina, you can talk about your experience here. Um, and that's led us to, I think, what we're really excited about is launching something that I think we see major big things for. So did I get us where you wanted me to go?
yep.
Beautiful.
And I'll add a little bit from my journey then, just a little bit, and then we'll tell you what we're doing this, because I came from a point of for the last year, a bit more, really working on my feminine, really since my divorce, last 3 years, but very consciously through Gene Keys. Gene Key 37 started talking to me about tenderness. So I had to see where my masculine was just pushing. I can push really well, and I can just do. And I just heard that I have to take care of myself. And I started to burning out with not really understanding that I was, using so much energy. And so the more I take care of others in the work that I do, and the more I have to take care of me. So I am coming from this longer journey of really, really relaxing into my feminine more and more and more. And which then the last few months has helped me align my masculine to not push, but to take aligned action. And then all of a sudden it's happening easier. It's happening with ease rather than with force. So that's a more whole masculine within me. But what I wanted to come into here then so that's where I was at when we met, and you saying to me, I mean, the first conversation, whatever, you even said like, hey, I'm not here to be your client. I'm not here to be your teacher. Here we are. And then you said, I think the next day, how can I be of service to you? And so that caused me to go into a good 2 weeks of really being in my feminine so much that it was like I was just in the process, and the way we open each other, we get each other, we see each other that quick, and because of that we open each other so fast and so much, right? But I was in the space of experiencing this openness and I got to just be, I got to not give. If we look at the masculine actually as the giver, I got to be in the space of simply receiving. And that is not a space that I've been comfortable in, because I love to give, and that's what I usually do. And I love to do it. And I do it with everyone. I do it with you guys here. I do it with everyone that I love. Flood. I'm line 4, which is all about flooding in my life work. I flood with love. I love to do that. However, I needed this balance within myself. So what I experienced in that is that I got to be so much in my feminine. I stopped myself so many times, even from sometimes asking you, and how are you doing? I'm like, this is not transactional. I'm going to allow myself to receive
Right,
to the point where I am uncomfortable doing so.
right. And I think that right there is how much of our human existence is all about transaction. It's I do something for you, and in return, you do something for me. That is not the human design. That is not how our souls are aligned. Our souls want transformation. That's what we yearn for. And I think all of us know I don't want to get into some like negotiation. I don't want to get into some business deal with you. It's here I am. What can I do? And I think what's hard is as a woman, the women I've talked to and my clients, you got to question it a little bit, right? Like, what's Tyler's angle here? Like, what's the angle, right? And I got this from other women who I've talked to. It's like, this can't be real. Like, because Tyler wants something here. Like, what is he getting out of this? And for me, it goes back to that gene key 54. My only aspiration is to kind of just be and be home. Like I tell people, I'm home. You're welcome to come and go as you please, and just be there and almost just aspire to be home and to stay home and let people come and go. But it's so like I had a good friend, a female friend, her name's Edith. She's like, Tyler, women are trained by society to look at you as either you just don't have an awareness or you have some sort of hidden agenda. So people can't necessarily handle the reality of who you are because people just, and let me be clear, I'm not perfect, okay? I do have agendas. They creep up from time to time. What I appreciate about Kristina is she calls me out on them, and it's beautiful because then it's the shadow, right? I'm back in my shadow. But it's this idea of just being and me being in a place of giving and not asking you to give me anything, not expecting me to get anything out of it. And it was so freeing as a man to be in that space because I felt powerful. Like, look, I don't need you to give me anything. I've got it all. I've got it all. Like, I'm good. And I think that to me was something special and powerful that has led to so much more for us for I think what we want to do with where we're going, um, personally, professionally, all of it. It's just been amazing. I'm a little excited in case people can't tell.
Bring it. Just bring it.
You told me you wanted more, and I just gave you more. So
Yeah,
where are we?
yeah,
Oh, so are we introducing kind of where we're
yeah,
going
do
now at
it.
this point?
Do it. Do it. Do it.
So for you who are here, and for those watching on the live feed, um, Christina and I are have put together. And it's one of those things that we could not have co-created any other way. We are going to be doing a 3 series class around Valentine's Day. And it's going to be called Opening the Doorways to Sacred Love. And I think you will get a lot out of this because we're going to talk about and get into the depths and get away from the shallows. And we're going to talk about class 1 is going to be about the masculine heart. And it's going to be about the masculine heart within a woman and the masculine heart within a man because it looks very different because of the way our bodies are oriented. Class 2 is going to be getting into the feminine, what that looks like in the heart of a woman and what it looks like in the heart of a man. And then the third class is going to be the aha, but those two things can't really be separated. You can't have just masculine and put the feminine to bed because it's energy. And we're going to talk about energy and things like entropy. And we're going to talk about communication. And we are going to do couples counseling for you as an individual. Because that's really what I think we've discovered in all of this is how much we need couples counseling for the feminine and masculine within us because they're at war. They're at war with each other. My feminine and masculine for a long time, and even today still, they're battling it out. And somebody inevitably wins, and somebody gets put in a cage, and they feel rejected, and they feel all sorts of ways. So if that is something you want to join us for, Kristina will give us the details in a minute. We really are excited about this because not only do we think this is just the beginning, we are scratching the surface because we are going to connect dimensions of Kabbalah with gene keys. And there are 9 squares in a sense in this matrix. We're only covering 3 right now. We're starting small, but this will expand. And then we are hoping, because we know an expert or two maybe around human design, Katie, to add a third dimension. Because what if we have Kabbalah, gene keys, and then human design? And what could masculinity and femininity look like within that cube? And then we can take it even further because that's all within one person, right? We're still within ourselves. What happens when my cube engages with Kristina's cube, with Katie's cube? Because now we're talking external relationships. This is just within ourselves. Then we have, how do we bring this into parenting? Because I'll tell you, as a parent, learning about gene keys and engaging with Kabbalah has radically shifted how I parent. Because the things that frustrated me about my kids, I can now see as fertile soil for these amazing gifts in them. And I never had that. I always was like, just annoyed, like, why are you doing like, oh, this is gonna blossom for you. Then the last thing that we have planned today. And this is like we've only been talking for 2 weeks, right? And it's not like we've spent a ton of time. These things are just flowing. The last one is looking at business, sacred business. How do we apply these concepts to when your business started? Because I'm no gene key expert. Am I free to share this, Kristina?
What was that? You go.
Okay. So Kristina and I were talking about, her business and struggling. And I said, well, have you run a gene key chart for your business? Like, when was your business born? And she ran a chart for her business the day she created it. And it opened up some conversations and thoughts around her business that she and I could talk about and create this framework for contemplation to connect our head. Because what contemplation is and what I love about gene keys is it connects the head and the heart. Because the whole point isn't about gaining knowledge, it's contemplating, it's digestion, it's all of it. So that's the big picture. To bring us back down to today, really we're excited about this 3 series class. Do you want to talk details about what that class is?
I can say some details about
Okay.
it. It's also of course, I found the perfect aligned dates in astrology, because that's how I love to work with this. Like when we get so much support from the universe, when we get so much support from the planets of how do we move with this within us and with each other, then those days appeared and they're all right around Valentine's. And so we're going to do these classes when we have, or the day before, we're trying to do it the day before so that you can have that to digest with and to experience with when that transit happens, so that you can move with that transit in a maybe hopefully more beneficial way for yourself. So we have, for the masculine class, we have the Mars-Pluto conjunction. So Mars, the masculinity, the drive, the doer, and then we have Pluto coming in there with death and rebirth and power. So to align, what is that power for you? And then we do the same when Venus is going to be conjunct Pluto a few days later, and tuning into that femininity. What is that feminine power, and how does that move within you now? And then we have a beautiful, of course, Mars and Venus coming together a little bit later in the next week. So that is the union, which we talked about. Like, and this has been so much my journey with you, and also you guiding me through Kundalini as well. I realized that I have, like, on my own, I've been working on my femininity, I've been working on my masculinity. But then you highlighted through holding that space for me and in Kundalini practice to see that, oh, wait, now they're not communicating. This is really strong. This is really strong, but they're not communicating because there's still resistance and woundings in between here. So that to me was just like one of the biggest unlocking days that I've ever had. I've done so much work for the last 17 years on myself, right? And that day was one of those days that I will always remember, because I just felt like all the walls that has been around my core, me trying to fix or get through or see deeper and trying to twist and turn in every single way, all of that just like melted off. And that is unity. We talked about that yesterday and today too, what this, however that was brought up for both of us too. So that unity and how we're working with that together is just beautiful too. So we got a Venus-Mars conjunction there too. So the dates that we have this workshop, so it's 3 days, and then we're going to have an integration, just conversation call. We just added that as a kind of a bonus. So it's February 12th, 16th, so it's a Monday, Friday, and then the 20th, which is the next Tuesday, and then we'll have the integration call on that Thursday.
And the first class is 2/12/24. What a beautiful date! Like it's 2/12s is where. Thanks, Katie. Katie is the one who kind of, I got to give her credit on that one. So she kind of said you've got to do the first class on 2/12. So
yes, so that's what we are going on. Opening doors to sacred love. And so you can find all the info and sign up on my website, sanctuarywithinyou.com/opening doors. I'm going to put it on the first page so you can get it right there. I did not have time, but it will be there this afternoon. But if you just go to sanctuarywithinyou.com/opening doors, you will find it all there. And we do have a VIP option. So you get a very good price on one call each, a one-on-one, one with me and one with Tyler, so that you can experience whatever you're going through with us as well. So that's the VIP version of it that you can choose as well. But this is pure, and we're going to go and read here in the comments, but to me, this is such, it's been pure bliss. I've been in so much bliss since meeting Tyler. And just for one, having someone that is so similar to me, but in a man, which is different. So we love the same things. Like we often work in the same ways and think the same ways, and all of this. But then this co-creation of just sitting here and just like, okay, we're doing this, like, oh, I have this idea and I have this idea and I like this color and I like this color. All of this, it's just been pure bliss to me to experience that. And then everything that comes with it. It's such a like us coming back to this full moon is how you describe it, these roots of abundance that we are planting now, coming off of Capricorn season and going into Aquarius. It's just like this launching, and that's how it feels. It's just this beautiful energy that we get to do together, and then we get to bring to as many people as we can to do it together with, because it's so much wholeness in this whole journey. It's been so much wholeness for me. It's been so much, I know how I've unlocked things in you, and it's been so much wholeness. So we're experiencing it within ourselves. We're experiencing it with each other, and I'm just feeling all these roots. As I said, when we took that breath, and just like grounding for me is also connecting to that soul tribe, soul family network. And that's amazingness. And everyone, all of you here in the group that I know, like you are that. We're all that. We're all called to, not hey, Aquarius season, we're all called to be that inner light within ourselves. And we are the ones, and I know every single one that I work with, you are here because you are breaking, most of us are breaking generational trauma. And we're different, and we're meant to be. And we get to be those leaders, coming back to the Leo full moon and Jinky 3031. We get to be these leaders for ourselves, and becoming whole within ourselves, so that we can get to be the inspiration in whichever creative way we choose to be, for others, and for this planet, for light, for love, all the yumminess.
And look, I'm going to make a plea. I'm going to make a plea to all of you out there, because most of you, I'm noticing, are a lot of ladies in this group. They're not a lot of men. Please share this out with men you know. Um, I think it will resonate with them, especially when we start with the masculine. And hopefully they can get out of this at least some beginnings of their journey. It's designed, women, you're going to get a lot out of this too, because I think talking with a dude who is in touch with his feminine, like my friends who are female will tell you, it is very eye-opening for me to be able to pick my brain a little bit and say, let me be honest with you, let me be candid with you. You may not like what you're about to hear, but this is what's really going on. So I think you'll get something out of the class too. I think
Not just I'm
Kristina,
going to stop you right there. We don't just think they're going to get something out of your class, out of this class. That's going to be amazing.
yeah, yes. So but again, I think if we can get guys there, that's kind of one of my hearts too, is
Yes.
I know my people are hurting and wounded and unaware. And so anything we can do to just like nudge, because you can't fix, ladies, I know you want to fix us. You can't. You can try, and you can bang your head up against the wall, and really all you're going to end up with is a giant scar on your forehead, because it's not your fault that we have these problems. You can't fix it. We got to fix it ourselves. So if you can get guys to this, please, please, please share this out. That's a plea from a selfish place for my people.
Yes. I love that. I'm going to read some comments here. You're amazing, Tyler. Yes. Leos give and teach others with big Leo hearts. Yes, yes, yes. That's awesome. You're a great man. Yes, he is. We've been taught not to trust. Elena saying, take my money now. No true words were said. I think that was the war in between, right? That you commented on. I love this. Love it too, Angie. I know Courtney, like Courtney is my astrology geek out, one of
Hey,
them.
as you're reading, can I just, because I see Elena's comment and I really
Yep,
want to address it.
please.
Because Elena says, I can't believe I wasted so many hours on terrible videos and lessons on feminine masculine. No, girl, let me tell you, that is not a waste of your time. You cannot see it that way. The universe does not work that way. You watch those videos, you watched all of that to prepare you for this moment. Those were not wasted, because if you live and see that as a waste, then you have devalued the decisions that you made back then, which were always for your best interest. Always. We are always making decisions. This is what Kristina was talking about earlier. The receiving versus resisting. That was not a waste. So all of that you will bring to what we are doing, and it will unlock deeper for you because of that. So don't look at it as a waste. Because again, no breath we ever take is wasted. We do not waste energy because energy is unlimited. Where we get tired and exhausted is when we try to do it outside of our energy. And so just realize that was not a waste. So I'm going to push back because I do not like people saying things to themselves. Like I tell my friends all the time, you can't talk to my friends that way when they're talking bad about themselves. I say this to my kids. Nobody talks to my kids the way you just talked about yourself. You did not waste any time. Stop it.
Good. I love it.
Elena,
Hmm.
okay, she's joking. Some were really bad. Look, the worse they are, the better it will be. Judaism, Kabbalah talks about the check mark, that you have to go down to go up. It's a slingshot. It's like coming down on the atmosphere and you fall hard. The harder it comes down, the faster it goes up. It's all energy. So it's not bad. It's not good. Just be curious. Why? What was it about that time in your life that pulled you there? Because that curiosity is going to unlock for you the opportunities in front of you to really have that abundance. So I'm preaching here. I'm sorry I get a little preachy, but I like look, I get it. Flat Earth, like, hey, a flat Earth is a trampoline. And trampolines, when you jump on a trampoline, you spring into the universe. Don't get stuck in the past. There's no shame. You do not need to be ashamed about flat earth stuff. We've all had conspiracy theories that we've dug into. All of us, you're not unique. It's bad. If we really unfolded my heart of the things that I've thought about or gotten into, it'd be easy to judge all of us. Just realize you did that for a reason. And it's beautiful. This is your universe unlocking for you. So don't judge. I'm going to put a shameless plug in here. So I'm working on a book, and it's a commentary on the Torah. So it's a line by line commentary on and it's the book of Genesis about spiritual liberation and freedom. And the first lesson is the path to freedom is curiosity and not judgment. Be looking for it because I'm hoping to watch it in September. I know you're joking, Elena, but even joking, our soul hears that. Our shadows hear that. And our shadows, because these are the things that we're unlocking. As Christine and I are talking about, like our masculine and feminine, there's resentment built up. Like, how could I trusted you? And look at what you did. You brought us to a flat earth conference. What the heck? Sorry. What the heck? Like that resentment, even joking about it, can really bring us stuck. That's what this time is about. And Christina said this, it is a blank canvas. The past and the future are not reality. They're just data in our head at this moment. The next 30 to 60 seconds is really all that matters. That's it. That's the only reality is what is going to happen in the next 30 to 60 seconds. So sorry, I've been pushing on you, Elena, but I feel like you can handle it. You seem pretty strong. Like I get strong energy that you can handle a little bit of pushing.
I love it. Thank you.
I'm just a little bit excited about this. Can't you tell? Just a smidge.
Oh, we haven't even gotten you going yet.
No, we
I
have
know
not.
your capacity. And I love that. And that's what we want. And that's why I love doing this together, that masculine, because I know your full power. So we're bringing it all.
You think you know,
Okay.
wait, you think you know my full power. You have not even begun to know
I
my
know.
full
Bring
power.
it, bring it, bring it, bring it, bring it. I tell you every single day, I'm not afraid of it.
We could go for hours, Elena, and come to
Yes.
this class and we will.
Yep. And so I wanted to wrap up in terms of us finishing this, but then I do want to open a discussion. I can give myself another up to 20 minutes. I don't know. I didn't check in with you, Tyler. Yep. If
Can I take a potty break?
yes, you can.
I'm just being real. Just being real. That's the Aries in me. I'm just going to be direct. I'm going to
Yeah.
put it on mute so that people don't hear anything.
Thank you. Um, So I will, he does that. I want to just wrap up here, and coming back to encouraging following your heart. This is a new time. What if this is the time it works? Like that quote I posted a while ago, and so many commented on it. The dear universe, show me how good it can get. Show me how good it can get. Because that's amazingness. When you lead from your heart with this Leo full moon and you scrap what's been in the past, you even scrap your expectations and your fear about that it's going to be the same again. Jump into that water. Where are your heart telling you to go? Where is the resistance? Where is the pushback? Go right into that. Sometimes that's action, sometimes it's resting. It can be both, and we have to just sit and be honest with ourselves for that. Again, coming back to what we talked about today, and in these gene keys as well, allowing and accepting, where is your cycle right now? What are you being called to honor in yourself in this moment? And forget about to-do list, forget about that rational mind. I know how it is to have all of that too. Like, how is this even going to be possible? Well, let me tell you, everything is possible when you listen to yourself and your body. Everything is a clue for you to be curious about, to go deeper within yourself. And the more you honor yourself, the more beautiful your life and your journey in this life is going to become. It gets to be beautiful, and you get to allow it to be beautiful. So with that, I hope that you do allow it to be beautiful. Allow yourself to start anew. Allow yourself to paint with whichever color you want. Allow it to be gold, allow it to be red, allow it to be blue, allow it to be whatever you want. Sparkles. My little girl adds sparkles to everything. She just dumped in her whole new kinetic sand. It's just a dump of sparkles in there now. I'm like, yep, there we go. It's a sparkly world. So make it your masterpiece is what I wrote at the end of that one thing that I wrote. You get to make your canvas your masterpiece.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's all beautiful.
So we do have some
on that note, oh wait, on that note, I lit a candle for us today. And as we said, it's all beautiful. It went out. It's a gold candle.
Beautiful.
All right. Go for hours. Oh my God. Yes, yes, yes. My soul says, yes, it is. I've heard women become masculine energies when they do not feel protected. Yes.
Elena, I'll be honest, most of the women, oh, sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Elena, the truth of the matter is most of the women that go through life are living in their masculine because they've had to step up because they haven't had somebody, whether it's their father didn't show up for them, didn't protect them. Most women, and that's why as a man, me being in my feminine and giving out my feminine and just saying, here's my ocean, a lot of women in their masculine aren't used to that because they're used to getting into battles with men. Oh, iPhone. Most women are used to battling and getting into it becomes a push pull. When a dude in his feminine comes and says, here I am, come and go as you please, you're free. Like in a dating sense, like, look, you can have sex with whatever guy you want to have. You're that free. I'm here because I'm not looking for some to possess you. I'm not looking to cling on to you because you're not meeting a need in my life. My needs are all met. I want to be with you. I desire to be with you, but I also don't want to trap you with me. So most women have gone through life in their masculine, and that's going to be the aha of our, I think, our first class is that you're not used to and a man in his femininity. And in our society, right, men who are feminine, they're marginalized because the system is designed for women to give to men or men take from women. That's how it is. You're all of us from childbirth to now, that's what we've been designed to do. So yeah, that is, women have had to become much more masculine because honestly, my people have failed. And not because we've done anything wrong, it's because we were trained to fail because the system doesn't want unity. The system wants chaos. The system wants conflict because that's where power comes from, right? Our power as humanity is being able to control somebody. That's what gives us power. And that's the shadow. It's the arrogance. It's not leadership. The gift of that arrogance is leadership. So yes, um,
And
that's
that, yeah.
really go for it.
No, I always from my perspective, that's what I've had to retrain myself. That's why DK 37 came in, which is the restructuring of the feminine and masculine as well. And I had to add tenderness to that. Like I know too, just to go and then to have, and I'm gonna say it too. Like for me, the unity is that yes, you're that emotionally available because you've worked on not pushing down your emotions, but then also with that you are very protective. So it is this ocean and it feels like an arm around me.
Yes,
So
and you taught me that. You brought that up with me. Is that it's not just this; it's the wraparound as well.
right. And then as a
Angela
woman,
has
just
some.
like
Oh,
you, I said, oh yeah, you go. No, I'll finish that.
so Elena, I want one thing on Elena, and then Angela has some comments. Elena, I have bad news for you. Men are not just as confused because men aren't even thinking about this to be confused. And so most of the men, they're not even conscious of this. As women, you are much more conscious because you honestly care more. Men, most of my people just have an agenda, and it's to figure out and get back. And I wrote about this on the website is we just want to have sex because that's where we feel safe because our mommies didn't take care of us. And so we want to be in your womb because that's where we feel safe. Um, or, or we hate our mothers and we want to dupe you there and feel like we got one over on you. There's no confusion. Men are not confused because we're not digging deep into this. And that I think for a lot of women is the struggle. And yes, and control. Because if as I can control you as a woman, I feel powerful because my mom didn't give me what I need. And that is a lot of what this is. So it's not men are not just as on one sense they are, but they're not even thinking about this. So they're one step behind even being confused, which I think is a radical thing to consider in all of this. So do you want to address Angela had some comments about embrace the feminine?
The pushback right now is to allow space to heal.
The next comment.
You know, let's see where it do. And then I was told I will not be able to embrace my feminine because there is, let's see. I'm not sure I'm completely getting you, but let me answer and then you can, what I'm hearing here. And then you can say if that's right. Angie, let's see here. So what I've learned is to on my own, and then I've gotten to a space where I have that reflected. So I can't do all the work on my own, right? But that safety that you're looking, it's true because that the feminine requires safety to fully relax into being. And so we can give that to ourselves. And that's a journey. It's a journey. And I learned it like first time that mine, the first time I had to do that was when I lost my family and I lost everyone. And there was no network. I had thank God, my best friend. She had come into my life at that point. But I lost my whole network as I knew it, my whole support network as I knew it. And many of you have heard this story, that especially one time where I'm like, this is not, I did not sign up for this life anymore. Get me out of this effing life. There is nothing left. And I had done a lot of meditation at that point. So I asked the universe, like, hey, listen, this is where I'm at. You do something about this. And so you've all heard this, or most of you have heard that story of me just being on the floor crying for hours and just begging the universe to hold me because there was nothing left. And I experienced that. I experienced being held until I was okay to wake up the next day and being okay with it. And so that was the biggest moment of my starting point. And that was 16 years ago. And then I've done it in a different way, more consciously this last year. As I said, the universe was slapping me in my face of like, girl, you need to take care of yourself. And so I had to force myself to nurture myself and put myself first more than I was comfortable with. And I had to be radically honest with myself when I went into patterns of feeling more comfortable in taking care of others. Because if I just have a little moment and I sit down and if I'm not completely comfortable in my own skin, I can so easily go to just send out a text or a DM or reply to any of you in the DMs or send out a text to the people I love. How are you doing? Because so I get into the nurturing space of others instead of doing it for me. And I've had to be radically honest there with me of like, I'm going to call myself out on it. And it's a journey. But that safety is always within us. And it's interesting to me because I've come across a few men, I would say maybe this fall or something, that is like, well, a man's role is to protect, right? And even like as we as we whatever move around here and like, oh, I just kind of held that space for you. I'm like, I am fully trusting myself to protect myself. I am not afraid to be anywhere, even like in a neighborhood that's not safe, because I fully trust my instinct. I won't put myself in places, but if I end up in a place where it might be physically unsafe for me, I fully trust my instinct to keep myself safe. And this is a relearning because, especially as a woman, if you have been in physical places where it hasn't been safe and you have been assaulted, abused in different ways, then that's a relearning, right? And that's going to be everything is a journey. But that journey, I will say, yes, it's amazing having these men showing up for us doing that, but it can also be done within us, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And we're going to have to sit with that. And we're going to have to sit with putting that arm around ourselves and allowing the masculine within us to put that arm around ourselves so that we can relax.
That was beautiful. It was beautiful. And um, Angela, I am going to send you a link to an article for me that feeling like you have to have that choice of the feminine and which shows up the power and finding that balance. I think that article may help you. Um, so I sent that to you. But the hard part about all of this is it comes back to safety. You know, Kristina, you talked about safety. As a man, I don't think about safety a whole lot. It's not on my radar, you know, and men have trouble when we're in these groups when things come up and they're like, well, I'm safe. Why do you need safety? It's like, because most men don't provide safety. I talk to women who on a dating app, how horrible the things they experience from my people. And I always say my people because I can't separate myself from men because I am a man, so they're my people. We don't get how we create a lack of safety for women. That you, as a woman, have to navigate this most of the day. Am I safe? And you've got the power, because you're absolutely right. You are safe, but that's because you've done the work. If you don't do the work, you're looking 5,000 ways of, is there a guy following me? Is like, what's going to happen? I don't want to give out my address. I went on dates with women who they would give me fake names, and because they were told that's how to stay safe on a date, to not even give your real name. I wouldn't even think about that as a man. And it's the system we're in that drives us inwards to think the only way I'm going to feel safe is if a man rescues me. Help me. I'm a damsel in distress. Right. And I don't get me wrong, for a long time, all I wanted to do was be someone's Superman and have somebody be my Lois Lane. That's all I wanted because I thought as a man, that's where my power came from. That if I didn't have a Lois Lane in my life, who was I as a man? And so these are the pieces that are being broken out and healed, in the shift with these conjunctions and Casimis and quincunx. I love that word, quincunx.
All right. Thank you for that. Anyone else that has something on your heart that you're moving through right now with this woman? Maybe not. Tyler, is there anything that you feel called to say while we wait for that, and also to wrap up? Oh, I have one thing I just realized. I just wanted to put in there that for our course that we have an early bird price through the 2nd of February. So you get a lower price point now than what you will after February 2nd. Just putting that out there.
I think I just want to say what an honor it is to be in this space with everybody because we don't really get to talk about stuff like this a whole lot, do we? Like, and I think for me, it I navigate guilt as a man because I see it. I know my people. Again, I say I know my people. So to be able to be in a space like this and at least share my healing journey so that as women, you can understand that a lot of what is going on isn't about you, and it is about you, is just a significant honor and gift to be here. I really appreciate the universe, Kristina, bringing us together, you being open to working together, to collaborating. Um, because a lot of us who do this work, it feels threatening, right? Like, well, what if I do this and they like Kristina more than they like me? Like there's that part of this process. But to be able to co-create a space to have these kind of discussions that I don't think are being had. As Elena said, I learn about the masculine, I learn about the feminine. And it's very binary. We don't look at the unity of those. So I just want to say thank you because I just appreciate the space.
I do too. It's
And
complete bliss to me too, as you know.
and Michelle has something.
Yep. And I put the link, by the way, if anyone's looking for the link to the course, it's in the, you go.
So she says, I'm moving through some things with my kiddo, thoughts, concerns that I'm doing it right or enough, trying to push away the negative self-talk. So I'll tell you, Michelle, I, I'll put out there. My parents did an awful job raising. I'm just gonna say that. I've done my healing work. I've time traveled back in time with the benefit of different spiritual coaches to restore that. If I can be in this space today with the upbringing that I had, you're probably doing 1,000 times better. That's not to say the guilt and shame aren't there, because I think as parents, that is the reality. And I think this is where, and I'm going to push Kristina's work. Working with Kristina on Gene Keys is going to put you in touch as a parent. These things where we feel like our failures are actually part of the genetic design. Like our kids are kind of like, we're all designed to go through these shadows. So when one of my daughters is just struggling with honesty, they're dishonest. Well, that shadow is connected with the gift or prize of intimacy, that you have to deal with some dishonesty as a human being. So as a parent, instead of looking at it going, holy crap, I'm failing them as a parent, it's I have the opportunity to look at the shadow in them and see the beauty, even when they can't see it. And maybe this is a reflection on me of the shadows I'm viewing. And so this is all. So again, I think the pressure on us as parents to do it right is another piece, right? We can't control our children. We can't. We can set up boundaries. Sorry, Christine, I'm having an image of Jack, the puppy.
Oh, the little puppy that I had here. Oh my God.
Yes,
Oh,
Christina
yeah.
had to babysit a puppy for a couple of days,
I
and
volunteered. I've never volunteered in my
yeah,
life, and I volunteered. Yep.
and the puppy was chewing everything in sight. And I'm like, Christina, why don't you put down boundaries for the puppy? Put up fences or whatever. And
He wasn't chewing on things, he was peeing.
well, yes, but again, it's communication. It's how do you talk to a dog to get them to do what you want to do? You can't. You can't control that dog. You can't control your children. Um, and that's what's hard. And like Michelle, you said, like, um, your kids' love language is words of affirmation. You've been said that all that I'm saying to them is not landing for him, and it's breaking my heart. And Michelle, what I would say from, again, I'm not the beacon of parenthood here. I think the question comes is, how can I support you? And just step back and hold space, holding space for your kid to say, okay, there's a disconnect. My intent is to love you and nurture you, and it's not landing with you. What do you need? What speaks to you? And turning it over to them to give them the floor. And they may not be able to answer right away. And then giving them that space to walk away and come back. Because that's what I had to learn in my feminine, right? You're free. And sometimes you need space. And I could feel I've done something wrong when you say to me, I need space. Or I could say, no, you're an independent human being. You know what you need. Go take care of yourself. And I think it's learning to trust our children that when they need space, they get space. My conversation with my daughter last night was, hey, I'm trying to balance as a 16-year-old giving you space and communicating that you matter. I feel like if I give you too much space, I'm going to communicate to you that you don't matter to me. If I communicate too much that you matter, you're going to feel stifled and strangled and need to get away from me. How are you feeling with that balance? Am I too much? Am I not enough? And that just opened the doors for other conversations to be had. But as parents, we don't think about that. How do we balance that with our kids? They don't need our fixing. They just need that unconditional love. So I don't know if that helped, Michelle. I don't know if you'd add anything, Christina, to that.
I do want to add something as someone who I've had my own business for 10 years and I love what I do. I loved what I do when I did sewing and I can disappear into it and I love it. And I knew when I had my daughter that I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I would feel completely suffocated and not happy. And so something that I've navigated and still am navigating, and what I like said about this morning too, it's like I get to do this work and I get to trust that she chose me as her mom. She chose her dad as her dad on a soul journey level. And so it's awesome. I've talked to my best friend in Sweden about this so much because she's been navigating so much more intensities with her children. And and uh, and seeing how she does it too is like learning that they have, however they came into this life, they came into this life for that, for for a reason in the constellation that they did with the parents that they did. So we get to, even as with our kids, we get to also give them what you said too, like give them the like trusting them also to navigate. We're obviously going to give the tools for them to navigate. That's why we're parents. But on the higher perspective, they have their soul journey. And so we cannot take responsibility for what they came here to navigate. We cannot turn ourselves inside and out, because then we lose our own sovereignty. We have to be sovereign as parents, because children do what we do, not what we say. So they're going to mimic us exactly, as we all know that we do with our own children, parents, and then we've had to unravel that, right? So they're gonna pick up on the energy that we're in. So if we constantly feel that we're not enough, stop for a moment. Stop for a moment. Hone it back into you. You are enough. And by you working on that you have a certain amount of energy or capacity, and that is enough. That's more than enough for you to go into not feeling enough. Then you're teaching your son that energy, and then he has to navigate that too, essentially energetically. These are subconscious things, right? So for you, Michelle, to give you that yourself, that self-love, and realize that you're not going to be able, we can't I know all of us, we want to put cushions around our children and have them walk around with cushions to never be hurt, or never, like, to do everything well for them. We cannot, and we're not meant to. We're not meant to. So for you to be able to hone that into yourself, to working on that, feeling enough, and allowing him to have his journey.
Can I add one thing, Christina? Because you taught me
Please.
something. Because in this journey, I learned from you. As a parent, sometimes we're looking for a strategy out. We're looking for a solution to a problem. When really, sometimes what we need to do is feel into our hearts and feel, what does this moment call for? And I think that's hard because, and this weekend I had my 8-year-old with me, and she was really struggling because she left her favorite teddy bear at school and was just struggling. Um, and I was just, what do I do? This is just, she's miserable. She doesn't want to be here. How do I fix this? And I couldn't. And, Christina encouraged me to basically say, like, just feel into it. You know how to be a dad. Just be a dad. And I just heard, because Christina and I had talked about, she'd done Swedish massage. She's been trained as a Swedish masseuse. And as I was in my heart, it was like, spa day, spa day. Because I have my Reiki table. So I went to my 6-year-old. I'm like, hey, do you want a massage? Do you want to do spa day? And she was like super excited. And my 8-year-old got really curious, like, what's going on here? And it turned everything around, because I put on the massage music for them, and they took a bath. We had a charcuterie board. I couldn't have come up with that strategy in my head. I couldn't have, but I felt into the moment, and I felt into the energy, and the solution presented itself. And so I think we sometimes get lost in, I got to fix it. There's a formula. I'm missing the formula. And maybe there is no formula, and it's just being in the moment and feeling intuitively, what does this moment call for? And honestly, sometimes it's giving them an iPad. It's giving them an iPad and saying, here, go. Mommy, daddy, we need a break. And not feel guilty about that, because we need to take care of ourselves first. You go on a plane, put on your oxygen mask first. Sometimes that's okay. And we can beat ourselves up and we failed as a parent because I gave them an iPad. Or you navigated the situation with what you have. And that's it. iPad
And
always wins.
that's
It does.
And
Sorry.
also with that, I want to just bring that into not just with children. This is what we can do, obviously, with ourselves too, in terms of not trying to fix ourselves. When we are just banging our head against the wall and trying to go through something and fix something that is not, that we want more of, that's not working, that's also where we get to go into our heart and try not to fix ourselves, not having the mindset of fixing ourselves. We already are everything that we need to be. And what we need to do is to be often at that time, because that's what this brain of ours that we have, whether we're men or women or whatever, it's like here. Yeah. Let's see here. Is there anything else that we wanted to bring up, or because I think we're about to close out? Courtney saying, thank you so much. Wonderful. Can't wait for the course. Yes, yes, yes.
And even if you don't take the course, sharing it with others would be helpful for us.
Very. Thank you. Definitely let them feel emotions. Mm-hmm.
So we're coming up, I think, on 12 your time, I think,
I know, I
which
saw that.
might be a good time to end.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the time. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, joining us. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out a little bit longer. We're so excited to be doing our togetherness with you to create a bigger togetherness. Thank you for today. Thank you for allowing me to be here and Tyler to be here. However, we cross our people together too. So from my heart to you, thank you, Tyler, always.
Thank you, Kristina.
All right. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.